I'm Mark Valley, and I have a new podcast where I spot, assess, and have coffee with spies, operators, and agents over stories of action, diplomacy, and intrigue.
Check it out at markvalley.com. It's the live drop.
This is Popping the Bubble with hosts Sandra Ponce de Leon and Pete A. Turner.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sophia Yen, CEO and co-founder of Pandia Health, and we're here today with Popping the Bubble.
Hey, Sophia, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I love doing shows with other strong, progressive women.
Oh, absolutely.
Me too.
Yes, Pete does too. We have a strong ally in Pete. And Pete also has a young daughter, which I think is really pertinent to this conversation that we're going to have. So I'm eager to hear his thoughts on Pandia Health and what you guys do. Maybe we could just start out real quickly with, in your words, what is Pandia Health all about?
Yeah, so Pandia Health, Pan is every, Dia is day. So we have you covered every single day, 365 days a year for your prescription birth control needs. We're telemedicine where you fill out a questionnaire and tell us what birth control you've used before, where a doctor looks at it, doctor thinks it looks good. We write the prescription, bill it to your insurance, and mail it to you by U.S. mail. So I like to say nor rain, nor sleet, nor snow is going to block our birth control from getting to you, and no one runs out of birth control on our watch.
That is so convenient because I remember the days of having to remember when my prescription ran out and going to the doctor. And so it seems like you are really streamlining the process for women, especially for young women who maybe have some issues or hesitations or taboos against actually asking their parents or going to the doctor directly themselves.
Yeah, exactly. We are about confidential. So you can envision if you're living in a small town like Visalia, where there's only one pharmacy and you walk in, and every time you walk in, they're like, oh, you, Sophia, again, for birth control. And then by the end of that conversation, everybody in the entire town knows that you were at the pharmacy, right? So taking birth control wherever you have internet and a mailbox is what we do. So that's confidential. And then convenient, you don't have to run to the pharmacy every month. You don't have to suffer from what we call pill anxiety, which is freaking out that if you don't get to the pharmacy by the end of the month on, business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 pharmacy hours, there will be a dire consequence. And then reliable, that you can set it and forget it. Let Pandia freak out, not you. Let us worry. We will take care of you. Exactly.
So what was the inspiration behind this idea? What made you think that this was a needed service in the market?
Yeah, so I'm a physician, a clinical associate professor at Stanford, and my specialty is adolescents and young adults. And I was preparing a talk on birth control. And one of the top reasons women don't take their birth control is they don't have it on hand. And I was like, this is so easily solvable. We'll just ship it to you and keep shipping it to you until you tell us to stop. And then when we ran ads for free birth control delivery, 60% of the women didn't have a prescription. Either it had run out or they never had one to begin with. And so I'm a doctor. I can write prescriptions. And so we came up with telemedicine plus drug delivery all under one roof. So you have no excuse ever to run out of birth control. And so we can take care of everything and anything you would need under that umbrella.
That's amazing. That is so convenient. Are there any requirements from the industry in terms of regulations with regards to writing the prescriptions online? I mean, you're obviously a doctor, so you can do that. How does that work exactly? Do you have to have multiple doctors on staff?
Yes. Right now, we're only in California, and we have 5 other physicians signed up to prescribe. And then we intend to spread across the country. And our model will be to have one evangelist doctor per state. And their job is to help staff up high quality physicians that meet our standards, that have an enthusiasm and passion for helping women in their health. So that's how that works on the regulatory side. In terms of how are we able to do this safely, it was a perfect storm of laws. So with the Affordable Care Act making birth control available with no copay, no deductible, we said, hey, this is going to be free to the end user. We charge the medication to their insurance, They don't have to pay anything. We eat the delivery cost. And then from the doctor's side, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology in 2012 and again in 2016 said it's perfectly safe to send birth control over the counter. That research has shown if you ask these 20 questions, hey, do you have liver cancer? Do you have breast cancer? Have you ever had a blood clot? Do you have migraines with crazy whack symptoms? Women can self-screen themselves out of birth control. And so then 3 states passed a law, Washington, Oregon, and California, that pharmacists can prescribe birth control according to a protocol. So we took the protocol that was approved by California's medical board, pharmacy board, and the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology in California for pharmacists, and we threw on a layer of doctor. And we actually originally lobbied them under my Stanford academic hat, showing all the papers and citations that you really don't need an in-person visit. The only thing you need is that blood pressure. And I said, imagine how we could bust open access to women everywhere and anywhere who live 2 or 3 hours away from the nearest doctor or the nearest pharmacy if you don't require this in-person thing. And ACOG has said it's perfectly safe as long as the woman got her blood pressure within the past 365 days. She can call up, the doctor's office and say, hey, what was the last time I was there? Or she could run to the local pharmacy or the local Safeway, or she could, I wanted to put a picture of a hot fireman of the month or something, or firewoman.
And send it to the fire station?
Exactly. And go to the fire station and get your blood pressure.
That's very motivating.
Get your blood pressure checked, and the fire person on their downtime can help improve health in the society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that increases community engagement with your local fire staff. I'm for that.
You appreciate
go to firemen for
list of things to go check out the hot firemen.
That could be a business in and of itself. This is really, really cool. Have there been any challenges along the way in getting this to market?
I think mainly it's getting the word out. The other constraint is that we're only in California, so sometimes we have customers move out of state, and I'm sad that we can't follow them. But as we raise money, we obviously plan to go national as soon as possible, as soon as the funds will allow. What other barriers have we had? I would say mainly it's just getting funding. I think the elephant in the room that people don't realize, that if you think about it, you will. America has a hang-up talking about birth control. All of our media is sex, sex, sex. But if you try to mention the word condom or the word birth control, they'll just freak out and have a heart attack. And so when I approach funders, they're like, yeah, we don't want to go there because we're afraid we're going to offend our conservative or our older or our, Southern kind of customers. And so the brilliance of our business model is we're taking something that 80% of women will use some point in their life, and we have no fear to market it straight up in their face. I am the one of few CEOs that has a uterus and fallopian tube necklace at all times.
Did you say necklace?
Yes, necklace. Oh. So when you meet me, that's what you'll notice. And that's my test of observation, whether you notice the necklace and then whether you figure it out based on my profession, what it is.
Right. How has it been transitioning from being a doctor to a CEO?
Yeah. So when I go to things, people are like, oh, you're a doctor, you know nothing about business. And I say, no, entrepreneurship is in my blood. My grandparents had their own company. My parents had their own Silicon Valley dream, going from rags to riches. And I've always been, looking at fundraising, always been treasurer for this organization, knowing how to make dollars stretch, knowing how to make, budgets match. And going from being a doctor, so this company, I feel, is kind of a culmination of my career. I wanted to help people one-on-one. And then as a professor, I was able to teach the next generation of physicians. And then as a national respected person in reproductive health, I was able to teach other physicians and serving on national committees. And this company allows me to impact the entire nation. And then we've had requests from China, Canada, and Europe to come over here as quick as you can. And I'm like, first I got to master the United States, then I will come to your country. But but it's just doing good, preventing unplanned pregnancy, making women's lives easier. And then a big picture for Pandia Health is to become the brand that women trust with their health. Women don't know what websites to trust. There's a whole bunch of false information on the internet. And we want you to know that something that is backed by StartX, which is Stanford's accelerator, something that's founded by a woman, founded by a physician with a passion for making women's lives easier. We hope that you could trust us.
Yeah, well, I just love hearing the passion in your voice about this topic. And I mean, it's your energy and your passion are really infectious. So I'm sure that this is going to lead to huge success for you. Are there any other competitors in the market?
Yes. So there are other companies out there that do just the telemedicine, but they're not addressing the pain point, which is running to the pharmacy every single month and freaking out about running out. And then there are companies that do just a delivery, but they're going to miss out on 60% of the people that need a prescription. So we are the end-to-end solution. There are 3 other end-to-end solutions, but one of them is a nice guy out of Colorado, but he only takes cash. And so you can imagine that if I have insurance that could cover it, why would I pay $20 a month for medications that is I already paid for via my insurance, or my employer already paid for it? And then there's another competitor out there, and they're focused more on the pharmacy side, and they're not women-founded, women-led, or practicing reproductive health-founded. And there's another major one, but they force everybody to get a doctor's appointment. And you can imagine, if I just saw my doctor 2 months ago, why would I want to fill out your questionnaire, waste my time, bill my insurance or whatever for that visit when I just did it 2 months ago? So we allow people to send their prescriptions directly to our system. Either I have my prescription at this pharmacy, why don't you just move it to Pandia Health? Or I'm at my doctor's office and I can tell my doctor, hey, I just signed up for Pandia Health, or I'm going to, please send the prescription to Pandia Health. And there's a tab on our website for providers that tells you where that partner pharmacy is that the physician can send directly in their computer system. And then just give us the address you want it sent to and your insurance information. We'll fill the prescription, bill it to your insurance, ship it, and you're done for the year.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of talked about the legal aspect, but it seems like such a potential barrier for what you're trying to do. And we have to be honest and say, it doesn't really matter if what you do is legal. Does someone want to spend the money to take you to court to fight you because of their hang up about birth control? So, I mean, you've got county governments that might take you to court. You've got state, you've got a lot of legal barriers. How does that impact how you try to plan your growth?
Yeah. We're starting with birth control, but we want to grow with women as they grow. So eventually we could do prenatal, we could do wrinkles, we could do acne, we could do menopause, we could do low risk recurring medications that are chronic. So we aren't specifically birth control. So people can't specifically target us. If they're going to target us, our pharmacy is just like any other pharmacy. You can't make up a law about a birth control pharmacy, because it's not. But it'd be really weird to write a law to just focus on birth control only. And if you did that, then we'll just add in some acne, or we'll add in, somebody came up with a brilliant suggestion, and I want to get on it soon, is yeast infection. A lot of women have yeast infections, and old school, you have to buy this over-the-counter stuff and put stuff up your vagina, and it's nasty and gross. And nowadays, you just take a pill and it's done, but it still requires a prescription. So I think we could bring that quickly to women so that they don't have to be stuck on that old gross method, and they can have a quick, fast method that deals with their health needs. So I don't think they can target us. The main thing would be if somebody had some adverse consequence as a result of a birth control pill, and then they wanted to sue us. So knock on wood that nobody would do that, but it's just like any other doctor's office. Same liability. We definitely have malpractice insurance and liability just like any other medical practice. And actually, I feel that our system may be better than an in-person doctor's, because a doctor is just asking you questions from what they remember. And if they get distracted that day, they may forget 1 out of the 20 questions, whereas every patient gets the same questions that have been, board approved to make sure that you're safe. And we've actually caught 3 or 4 patients with medical problems that they shouldn't have been on regular birth control pills and could only be on progesterone only, and switch them over for their health and their safety.
Wow. So do you think is this the future of medicine, telemedicine, and diagnosing patients in this way and out of the convenience of their own homes?
This is absolutely the future. The question is how fast and how safe. So I would say as a doctor, I don't think all medicine can be done right now because we need blood tests. We need your heart rate. We need your blood pressure. We need to be able to listen to your heart and lungs. I need to be able to look in your ear. There's things we have to do for certain things, right? But there are certain things we don't need, like allergy medicines. I could probably just get your history. And if you're telling me every time you smell grass, you have problems, let's give you some nasal steroids. I don't really need necessarily to examine you. If it doesn't work, then yeah, you need to come in and then somebody needs to look at your nose better. I do think there are things we can do now safely, and there are things that we still need some technology, but that technology is coming soon. And those companies that are prepared and have the patient base or customer base can easily add, right? But I think some people may be ahead of that curve. A lot of people are questioning urinary tract infections. All of those that are in academia, we want to get a culture of your urine. So in the medicine I give you doesn't work, then we can detect the bacteria and figure out the one but if I just throw antibiotics at everybody, we could be causing resistance. And later when you're old and you need that antibiotic, it's not going to work for you.
We did an interview a while back with the guys that won the X Prize for inventing a tricorder, Basil Leaf Technologies. And the Dr. Basil he's an ER doc. And so he said, this decision tree is kind of how I approach all the things that come in the door. And their tricorder was minimally invasive to a doctor. They might poke you and draw some blood, but this thing could sense 34 different maladies. And that number was going to grow over time. But it's something that you can literally, it's the size and the functionality of a cell phone. So something like this, I'm assuming, where you could do a pinprick on your finger, draw some blood out, and do at least some minimal analysis, would enable you guys to more accurately and more safely, more proactively practice medicine via the web. Is that a good assumption?
Yes. The more technology we can get to detect what we need to make a decision will allow us to provide more telemedicine over time. And I have a friend who told me in all the Android phones, they have the ability to track your blood pressure right now. They just have to set a standard. So you go in the office and you have to sync it, right? And say this value equals this value. But once you have that value, they can track your blood pressure, and they just need to turn it on and activate it. And as we know, with the watches by Apple, they can get your heart rate. They probably could also get a blood pressure curve eventually, if not already. And there is blood tests that need to be able to be done. And you can do an EKG already if you have the right extra attachments for your phone. There's other things we need, like listening to your lungs. I don't know if we have that. And would everybody buy one of those? Would they have one at home? What are the odds of that? And maybe there's just some things you need to come in for, like the acute and urgent stuff, but the chronic stuff probably could be done by telemedicine.
What if you get something like the Ring, and that's your form of, you want to try it out as your form of birth control, and your body says no? How does a patient get the proper care once they figure out that their body's rejecting that particular kind of birth control?
Very good questions. Anybody who's new to a method or a medication, we send them a 6-week follow-up to see how things are doing. And if they have any issues, then the physician will contact them either by phone or secure chat to check in and change to a different medication. But if they're doing fine, then we're good. If they've been on it for the past 5 years, then we don't need to see them again for another year. And if any time they have questions, they are free to contact us. We haven't built out the model. If you want to talk on the phone for a long time, then you really should pay for the doctor's time. And in the future, we may, have, 15-minute visits for $45 or something if you need a long discussion. But again, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has said birth control is safe, should be over the counter. And if that's where it's heading, there isn't too much doctor involvement other than tweaking the side effects. And that is why our company is different from another competitor, which you go on their website and they're like, here's 40 different birth control pills. Which one would you like? And it's like, that's not the American way. The American way of medicine is you tell me your history, which ones you've tried, what your concerns are, stuff like that. And based on that, as a physician, using my expertise and seeing all these patients and seeing the data from all these women, which birth control would be best for you with the least amount of side effects in terms of which pill. There's 40 different ones to choose from. And then the ring, the patch, or the pill, that comes down to a decision by the woman of how you want to take your drug and how often you want to worry about it. So the ring, it goes in your vagina, the patient places it herself, and she takes it out. And it's just once a month that you have to worry about that. The patch goes on your body, and you have to change it once a week. And the pill, you have to remember every single day. And so most physicians used to be on the ring. Now most physicians are going for personally long-acting reversible contraception, mainly in the form of the IUD and more on the hormonal IUD. But there's also the implant and there's also the shot. But the ones we can provide as Pandia Health is the ones that are self-administered. So that's the ring, the patch, the pill. And it's just how often you want to think about your med, and are you okay putting something up and pulling it out?
So you guys are providing those as well.
Exactly. We're also providing emergency contraception. So we're trying to educate everybody that you should think of emergency contraception like a fire extinguisher. You want it ahead of time, sitting in the corner, may expire in 2 years, not, holy crap, the condom pop is 3 a.m. Where do I find a pharmacy? Right. Which one's open and who has it in stock? And so my PSA to your listeners is, if you know any heterosexual male having sex that doesn't want to be a baby daddy, there should be a pack of emergency contraception.
I'll sell it to men too. I love it.
And then any women, regardless of your orientation, because God forbid you would be sexually assaulted, as long as you're not on the IUD implant or sterilized, there should be a pack of emergency contraception as well. And to know that there are 4 types of emergency contraception. The most effective is the copper IUD. The second most effective, most people don't know about, even physicians. If you quizzed them, very few would know the answer, except for people like me who are passionate about reproductive health and keeping up to date on contraception. It's called ELA, or olapristal acetate, and it's by prescription only, but because of the Affordable Care Act, it's free. Your doctor prescribes it. It's covered by insurance. It's free if you have insurance. And that one works better. It works better for women who have a BMI of greater than 26. The over-the-counter Plan B, or I recommend asking for generic Plan B, because if you ask for Plan B, the pharmacist will be ecstatic to sell it to you for $60. If you insist on generic Plan B, it's $20. And if you walk in and you're at 3 a.m., you're going to take whatever they have. But if you're getting it in advance of need, like a fire extinguisher, they're like, oh, we don't have it in stock. And you're like, that's okay. I can wait. You can order it. And so then you can save yourself some money. But that one is not as effective as Ella. So if it were me or my daughter, I'd have a pack of Ella around at all times. And then if you have no access to Ella, then I would go for the Plan B generic. And then lastly, if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and all you have is a pack of birth control pills, in general, you could take 4 pills now and 4 pills in 12 hours. But that's the very, very least effective.
Wow. I'm learning so much about birth control.
Yeah, no kidding.
I had no idea that there was 40 types of pills. I didn't know this. What are some other sort of little known facts about birth control that we should know, or our listeners should know?
Yeah. So I love, helping women's lives be better. And me personally, I hate the period that happens every single month. And it's 1 week out of 4 destroyed with blood and stress and pain and changing tampons, changing maxi pads, worrying about blood leaking here and there. So I want everybody listening to this to share with every woman of reproductive age that they know that if you're having a period, that's your choice. Periods are optional. In today's day and age, we can turn them off, and it's safe. That's the other thing. To explain the safety of it, the natural state of a female animal is pregnant. How many periods do you have when you're pregnant?
None.
Exactly. And so if you compare us to a tribe in Africa, and they die at age 70 or 80, not like we're comparing apples to oranges, but apples to apples, they have about 100 periods in their life. We in the modern society have 300 to 500. I realized trying to get pregnant, the only reason we build up that lining of the uterus is to accept an embryo. And if we're not trying to accept an embryo, on average in the United States, from 12 to age 26, or for those of us who had to go through more education, 35, That's 10 to 20 years of incessant menstruation for no good reason. You don't need to build that lining unless you're trying to accept an embryo. And so if we put you on one of the long-acting reversible contraceptives, or if we put you on the ring or the pill, we can skip that sugar week and skip your period.
Oh my God, this is totally new information for me, and I think I might need to have you write me a prescription.
You've got a new customer.
Today, I'll give you a discount code just for Popping the Bubbl podcast. Everybody who puts in Popping the Bubbl, all one word, will give you $5 off telemedicine.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. So what's the future vision of the company?
So the vision is we start with birth control. We become your bestie or your advisor, your trusted website, and we will be delivering a box to women's doors every month to start with birth control, grow with women as they grow. So as they start having babies, we can give them prenatal. We can hook them up with fertility companies. We can hook them up with baby center. We can hook them up with mommy blogs, mommy groups, support groups, and then go on to wrinkles and menopause, and then we're happy to, deliver all the drugs for all your family members. But we're starting with something that 80% of women will use at some point in their life, and that they need for 20 to 30 years of their life, and that we freak out about every single month, that we shouldn't, that it should just be easy and come in the mail.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. I can't wait to become a customer. Although the chocolate, my cravings may be significantly lower if I'm not getting my period.
That's true, but chocolate's always a good thing.
Chocolate is a good thing. I wanted to ask, as you guys take this thing to market and spread it out more widely, how do you bring men in and make this, like, it's always a big mystery, right? Like, that aisle's uncomfortable for some of us guys to walk down. And how do you make it okay? Like, we're so mystified. We're, off in the fog. How do we help us, big lugs out, to help us to understand that this is actually a safe, healthy way for us to continue to basically not pay attention, but, not trying to upset anybody?
We are about education as well at Pandia. Because we are founded by a physician, because our physicians are passionate about women's health, and because our physicians are academic, we know evidence-based, cutting-edge medicine. And
see, what are some other benefits of being on the pill?
Great question. Being on the pill decreases your chance of ovarian cancer, because every time you pop out an egg, that damages the surface of the ovary and it has to repair itself. And so if it's doing that every single month for 20, 30 years, when really you only need that to happen maybe 2 times in your life if you want to have a baby, then you increase your risk of ovarian cancer. And when you're on the pill, the patch, or the ring, that turns off that egg popping out every single month. So you decrease ovarian cancer. And if you don't have as much turnover in your endometrium, that the lining of your uterus, that also decreases endometrial cancer. It's also good for acne. A lot of women notice that on the birth control pills, their hormones are less out of whack and more kind of stable, and their acne can become less. If you turn off your periods, there's decreased risk of anemia, which is blood loss causing low hemoglobin in your blood and making you cold and tired. So women, if you're bleeding a lot and feeling cold and tired, you get it checked out and turn off your periods. Again, because of decreased pain, even less lost school and work. If you turn off your periods completely, the benefit there is in some societies, they banish women to have their periods. They're not allowed to participate in religion or government or school. And so if they're missing 1 week out of 4, and that's 25% of their education and participation in societies.
Hey, thanks so much, Sophia. The work you guys are doing is obviously super important. I mean, we shouldn't be struggling with birth control anymore. Privatizing, keeping it more personal and private, I think, is a great thing. I mean, it's really important work. I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you doing that, making it more accessible and helping us all out, because this is such a big thing. Thank you very much. Hey, and for those of you guys who might have missed it, it's Pandia Health, all one word.
Follow us on Facebook if that's where you do your social media. Otherwise, going to our website and checking out our blog, as well as going to YouTube and following our channel there. Those are all different ways to check out our educational information as well as our product.
And also, if you sign up and you put the words Popping the Bubbl, Popping Bubbl, drop the E, BUBBL, you'll get a $5 discount when you sign up for Pandia. And again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.